Welcome to week one of our half marathon training. So we'll be doing one Pilates session a week that will go from about 20 to 30 minutes, so it won't take too much out of your day, which is important. As the runs get longer, you don't want to be spending too much time on your homework in between. So these sessions will relate a little bit to the amount of load that is required of your program. So as the program ramps up and the runs get a little longer, we might focus a bit more on mobility work. But now, while the runs are shorter, we're going to really focus on getting your muscles turning on and building a little bit of endurance and stability around where you need it, particularly around those hips to support the knees, and a little bit of mobility around the spine. So we're going to use a band today, a long one. I've just tied the top of it together because for the first exercise we'll be doubling it, so it's going to be quite firm, but then for some of the later exercises we'll want it long. So if you're working with a pre-looped band, just make sure it's a long or a fairly light one, but if you do have a long one, tie a knot in the top, a double knot, and then let's double that over and just leave it beside you. We're going to start with a stretch. So lay down on your back, knees will be bent, feet flat on the mat to start with, and then open your elbows out wide onto the ground. Feel that your palms are facing the ceiling, so the backs of your hands are touching the floor, and your elbows are also touching the floor. Let's cross the right knee over the left, and then bring the ankle onto the thigh. We're going to rock that left leg over towards the floor, feeling a bit of an opening down the right hip, and then bring the right knee across towards the floor, and feel that more across the left side. We're going to go side to side here, keeping those elbows on the ground. Doesn't matter if your hips lift, that's kind of the point, but we're looking for a bit of a chest stretch as well as our elbows stay resting on the ground. Let's go one more time to each side, letting the spine twist. Come back through the middle and we'll swap. Bring the left knee across the right one and then slide the ankle onto the thigh. And we'll go side to side here. Over and over. Not being too fussy about how we're moving here. We're looking to just get the body moving before we get into things. One more to each side. And then come back to the middle. Grab your band, thread your feet through and bring it all the way up over your knees. So we're going to have our feet about hip width apart here, a little bit close to your buttock so that you can sort of touch your heels there, and we'll move into a shoulder bridge. So tuck your pelvis under, feel your lower back flatten into the floor, and then peel your spine up off the mat. Once you get to the top, put your hands on your ribs and kind of push them down. Feel that your ribs and hips are connecting through the front. So we want to be using our stomach muscles here to pull the pelvis under, and our buttock muscles to push the pelvis up. Keep your hip bones exactly where they are, and let's open the knees out and in. So we're pressing the knees outwards against the band. And as we do that, we just want to make sure the hips don't drop. So we're really working to press the hips upwards. It's tempting as the knees open to let the pelvis sort of tip downwards. So I want you to really make an active effort here to pull your pivot bone towards your belly button. Keep going. You can put your fingertips on your hip bones if that helps to feel what's happening, or you can leave your hands resting by your side. Open and close. Let's do another 5 here. And then we're going to keep our knees wide and move into some hip thrusts. 2 more. 1 more. Open wide. Keep the knees wide. Lower the hips halfway down and squeeze them back up. Inhale on the way down and exhale as you lift back up. And as you're doing these little dips, your rib cage really shouldn't move. So your tailbone is untucking on the way down, and then it's tucking back up on the way up. So it's not a whole sort of body movement, it's really just the pelvis tipping down and up. Let's keep going here for another 8. Good, keep those knees wide. You might need to reopen them if they've started to pull inwards with the band. Let's go for our last 5, 4, 3 more, and then we roll down. 2 and 1. Roll down through the back of your ribs, then your lower back, so you're really scooping through your belly, and then your tailbone comes down last. Knees are hip width apart again, and we roll up. Tuck the pelvis under, press the lower back into the floor, and then lift your hips upwards. Same as before, connect the ribs towards the hips. Check that your hip bones are level. And now let's keep the right knee exactly where it is. We're only opening the left. We've got 5 here on the left. And you'll feel your left foot sort of roll outwards onto the outer edge of the foot. So when we're only moving the one leg, we want to make sure that hip's not dropping. Let's swap to the right knee, open for 5. So you get that good squeeze through the right buttock this time. 3, keep tucking the pelvis in. 1 more, and now let's alternate. Let's go left, then right. Keep alternating, fingertips on the hip bones like I'm doing so that you can check that you're not starting to tip at all. 2 more for each side. Open, open, 1 more for each. My butt's burning. And then let's open both knees. We've got another set of our thrusts up and down. Just another 8 here. 7. Get that sense of untucking on the way down, tucking back up on the way up. 4, 3, 2, and 1 more. Lift and hold, and let's roll down slowly through the back of the ribs, and then the lower back, and then the tailbone comes down last. Well done, that got the glutes going. So take your band off, and now let's open it up so it's long, and place your foot, your right foot, in the band. Pull down so it's quite tight, and then we're going to stretch the left leg out. I want you to push your left leg, particularly your knee, down into the ground so that you're opening through the front of your hip. And we're just going to wave this right leg over, and you'll get quite a good stretch down the back and the side of the leg, and then back up to the middle. Go over, so over your body, over to the left, back to the middle. Let's do that a few more times. Over and back. You can even turn your foot inwards as you roll over, and you'll get a stretch down the side of your leg. It's quite a deep stretch. That's the whole side of the leg, the glute, and the perineals down the side of your calf. 1 more time. Over and back, and swap it over. So left foot in the band, right leg out straight, push your right knee down into the ground, and then we'll wave our left leg over to the right hand side and back. Now for this stretch, try and keep your pelvis square. So different to the first stretch where we were letting our hips move. This time, try and isolate the movement to the leg and keep your hip bones pointing straight up at the ceiling. We can start to turn that foot inwards as we tip over. 3 more times. And this can be a really nice stretch after you've run to loosen up all those muscles. Well done. Let's pop our leg down. You can pop your band just down in front of you as we roll over onto our left side. So we'll set up in side lying here. You can rest your ear on your left arm. Push your hip away from you so you've got that little gap under your waist. Now you've got an option here. You can pop your foot into your band and then pull that band nice and tight. Or you can just stretch your leg out straight without the band. Completely up to you. And let's start some hip lifts here. So we're lifting up and down. Now just have a look down at your body and check that your foot is slightly behind you. So if your foot's out in front of you, when you look, you're not going to get the full benefit of strengthening through your glutes. So slide your leg back behind you a little bit and really press your heel away from you. And that will help you create that gap under your waist. Let's go for another 5 here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Now keep your legs straight and wave it forwards and back. Forwards and back. So as your leg glides forward, check that it's not dropping down towards the ground. So it's staying up at the same level as your hip. And the other thing to make sure of here when you look down at your body is that your hip isn't rolling forward with your leg. So you're really letting the front of your hip there fold to allow the leg to come forward without pulling your pelvis with it. Sitting those hips back a little bit. A cue that works really nicely here is to think of your sit bones being wide. So you've sort of got that width across the back of your pelvis rather than tucking it in and pulling it forward like we were doing in the bridge. Let's go for another 5 here. And 4 more. Keep your foot really flat for these ones. 3 to go before we drop some circles. Good work. Think of using your lower abdominals a little bit here too. 2. 1 more. Sweep your leg back in line with your body and circle it around 10 little circles each way. Imagine you've got a pencil on your heel. I always think of Mr. Squiggle here. If my heel was Mr. Squiggle's nose, drawing circles around and back the other way. For 10, 9, 8, 7, hold tight with the band, get a bit of a bicep workout at the same time, and rest. Well done. Now, you can keep your band around your foot if you like, or you can take it off. We're going to transition to 4-point kneeling now. So coming onto your hands and knees, I've just got the band resting over the top of my right palm, and make sure you're nice and secure with the band around your foot. So we're just going to start by pressing the ground away. So you've got your shoulders really engaged, there's no sagging towards the floor. Press up, and then think again about that connection between your ribs and your hips. I like to imagine there's a couple of springs hooked from my ribs to my hips that are just gently tensioning through the front of my stomach. And then we're going to press our right palm really firmly into the ground. And as you do that, you might feel your right knee actually become a little bit lighter and your left knee become a little bit heavier. Once you've got that feeling, let's slide the right foot away from us, straightening the knee completely. Toes are still on the ground to start with, and then we'll lift the toes up, just so your legs are at the same level as your hip, and then lower back down. So let's breathe out, lift the heel up, breathe in, tap the toes down, and we'll go for another 8 here. Don't be tempted to go too high. You might be able to go higher than me, but I'm just going to a height where I can keep the neutral spine position, so I'm not arching through my back as I lift up, and that's important because we want to isolate this to your hip extensors. 5 more times. 4, really lightly tapping the toes to the ground. 2, lift up and hold. I want you to look back at your left leg and check that your thigh is really vertical. So if you've started to shift your weight across to the left, bring it back to the center, press down through that right palm, and then let's pulse up and down. Again, little pulses, tummy's really tight. You should be able to feel your obliques working pretty hard here. Let's go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 foot comes down, bring it in. Okay, let's unhook that foot, pop the band to the side, and bring your right foot forward in front of you. We're just going to have a bit of a stretch down the back of that right leg. So I'll get you to sit back over your left knee, pull your toes towards you and feel the whole back of that right leg stretching. We're going to go in and out of this stretch, so come forwards and back. Keep it nice and dynamic today. So it's all about getting our muscles going. And let's do that 3 more times before we come into our pigeon pose. 2. 1 more time, try and keep your shoulders really relaxed here. So it's just your fingertips on the ground. Come forward, creep your right foot across the mat and then just sink down over that leg. We can stay up nice and high through our shoulders. If this doesn't feel great on your right knee, you've got an alternative. You could sit on your bottom and just bring your leg onto your opposite thigh. And then you've got a bit more control about how deep that stretch goes, and you can rock side to side. If you're happy in pigeon, let's lift back up onto the fingertips and then really slowly press yourself out of that stretch. And we'll come onto our other side. So, laying down onto your right side, head resting on your arm or up on your hand, whatever's more comfortable. And we'll place the band around our left foot. So holding that band nice and tight up at your chest. Get that gap under your waist, so press your left hip away from your ribs. Hug the band to your chest, and then let's lower down and up. Down and up, good. Have a look behind you, check that your heel is a little bit behind your hip, just the tiniest little bit. Doesn't want to be too far back, because again, we've got to keep our spine neutral here. Keep going up and down. Check that you're just gently drawing your lower abdominal muscles in. So not a hugely firm sort of squeezing sensation, but just a tensioning sensation between those 2 hip bones at the front of your pelvis, like you're trying to flatten your belly button. Let's do another 5 here before we start waving our leg forwards and back. 3, 2, 1, hold here, check your leg is at the same level as your hips, stretch it out a little bit longer against that band and wave it forwards and back. So I gave you a few cues last time, wide sit bones, Think of folding at the front of your left hip. The other thing you can pay attention to here is that you're not feeling your weight shift on your bottom leg. So as your left foot comes forward, try and feel that your weight isn't shifting forwards onto your right knee. That will help as well, because that means that you're keeping yourself stable and you're not having to rely on that bottom leg. Let's do another 5 here. Think of dragging your heel back against the band, pressing your leg away from you and squeezing into your left buttock. 3. Good. 2 more here before we draw our circles. 1 more. Sweep your heel back. Stretch it a little longer. Around we go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back the other way. We've got another 10. Last 10 circles here. Squeezing through your left buttock. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Well done. All right, coming back onto our hands and knees for our 4-point kneeling sequence to work on our hip extensors. So, palms are flat, knees are on the ground. Push the ground away. Check that your chest is lifting up away from the floor. And then this time, let's press our left palm and our right knee firmly into the ground and feel the left knee become a little lighter. And then we'll slide that left leg out straight. Toes are still in contact with the ground. When you're ready, lift your leg up to about hip level and down. Keep your knee really straight. So use your thigh here to straighten the knee, and then use your glutes to lift the leg. Keep it going. Nice light little tap. If you imagine there's a puddle on the ground, you're just gently dipping your toes in and out. 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Lift that leg to hip level, hold it there. Little pulses up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Well done. Let's pop the band down again. Bring the left foot forward between your hands. Come up tall through your chest, and then we'll just start to rock back. Feeling that nice length down the back of your leg. This is when you start to notice if you're like tighter on one side than the other. And a little bit of asymmetry is okay. But if you're noticing quite a significant difference, that might give us an area that we need to focus on a little bit in your programming or your plan. So always good to notice these things and maybe work a little bit more specifically on those areas. 2 more like this. 1 more time. Come forward, creep your left foot across towards your right hand, and then sink down into your pigeon stretch or your alternative seated figure 4 stretch if you find this a bit too much on the knees. Let's stay up tall on our hands today. We may start to creep down towards the mat in future sessions, but I think for now we'll just stay lifted. You can even come up onto your fingertips. Hold that for a couple more breaths. And then press yourself up. Walk that leg back. And we're back into 4-point kneeling position. So we're just going to do a little bit of abdominal work here. So we'll curl the toes under. I'll get you to press the balls of your feet flat into the ground. And then again, lift your chest up. Let's think of engaging belly button to spine. And then we're just going to exhale to hover the knees off the floor. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. This time we'll hold for 2 breaths. So let's exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. This time for 3. So exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. We'll do 4 breaths. I won't count for the rest of them, and then 5 will be our last one. So let's exhale, hold. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Keep holding there while you breathe. Keep thinking about drawing the belly button to spine. You might start to feel your thighs work a little bit here as well. 1 more breath in and out and lower. And then last round, let's hover the knees, hold, breathing in and out, holding for 5 breaths. Try and actively pull that belly button to spine, sliding the hip bones towards each other. Keep holding, keep pressing the chest away from the ground. And now we're not going to lower completely, we're just going to tap the ground. Tap, lift, tap, lift. 3, 2, 1. Press your chest towards your thighs. Lift your hips towards the ceiling, and let's pedal out. One heel towards the ground at a time. You can take as long as you like in each pedal, but just try and really press your chest back towards your thighs here. So we'll be alternating one heel at a time. Get a really good calf stretch. Pressing back. And now let's press both heels down, flattening the chest towards the thighs, stretching both calves at the same time. Holding here for another 5 seconds. And then roll it forwards. Find a plank. Option to pop your knees down here. Up to you. If you're still in your plank, hold it there. And then when you're ready, lower those knees. Open the knees wide. Big toes are together. And then sit back into your child's pose. Let your forehead rest on the ground. Take 3 deep breaths here. And then slowly come out of that stretch. We have one last exercise to go before we finish up. So we're going to place the band, double it over, back where we began, around your knees. Lay down on your back. So what we'll be doing here is a bit of an abdominal / glute exercise. I'll get you to bring your feet together, open your knees apart, pop your fingertips on your tummy here, switch on through your lower abdominals, and then float both of your legs to a tabletop position. Now you've got a bit of a diamond created out of your legs. If this is too much on your abdominals, if you're feeling your lower back, or it's too much of a strain on your tummy, bring your knees closer towards you, or you can put your feet down. If you're feeling quite comfortable here, you could experiment with stretching your legs further away from you, or you can even bring your hands behind your head and curl forward into a chest lift. So lots of variations, and we're going to do a little bit of a variation on hundreds. So instead of pulsing the hands up and down, we're going to be pulsing our knees outwards into the band. So we'll inhale for 5 little pulses and exhale for 5 little pulses. Keep going with that, and I'll just remind you of your options. So knees closer towards you is less strain on your stomach. Knees further away from you is more strain on your stomach. Head down on the ground is another way to reduce that strain on the stomach. And now that I've distracted you for a few breaths, let's lift up and we'll do 2 more big breaths in, 2 more big breaths out. Let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Hug your knees to your chest. Well done. Give them a little rock side to side. And then let's take that band off. Feet flat on the ground. We're going to cross the ankle onto the opposite thigh again. Rocking over, side to side. Elbows are on the ground. Backs of the hands are on the ground. Just enjoy that nice stretch around your hips. Come through the middle, swap it over, and side to side. Good. And this time we just let the hips move and enjoy that stretch. Come back through the middle. One last hug of the knees to the chest. And then you can come up to sitting. And you're all done. Well done. We'll work through week 2 next week.